The night sky above the New Mexico desert was clear and filled with stars. Dr. Alan Hayes looked up from his computer screen and rubbed his tired eyes. For the past 6 hours, he had been staring at the same pattern of signals captured by the radio telescope array. Something about them felt different from the usual cosmic background noise. "You should get some sleep," said Dr. Olivia Martinez as she placed a cup of coffee beside him. Her dark hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, and the bags under her eyes suggested she needed the advice more than he did. "Just 5 more minutes," Alan replied, taking a sip of the bitter coffee. "There's something here, Olivia. I can feel it." The Global Space Research Initiative facility was quiet at 3 a.m. Most of the staff had gone home, leaving only the night shift and a few dedicated scientists who couldn't tear themselves away from their work. Alan and Olivia were among the latter. Alan's eyes widened as a new set of data appeared on his screen. "Look at this pattern," he said, pointing to a series of pulses. "It repeats exactly every 47.3 seconds. Olivia leaned over his shoulder. "Could be a pulsar." "No pulsar we've ever seen behaves like this," Alan replied. "And look at the frequency shifts. They're too precise, too intentional." The realization hit them both at the same time. Olivia spoke first, her voice barely above a whisper. "You think it's artificial?" Alan nodded slowly. "I think someone out there is trying to get our attention." Within 48 hours, the GSRI facility transformed from a quiet research center into a buzzing hive of activity. Scientists from around the world were called in, government officials arrived in black SUVs, and military personnel set up a security perimeter around the complex. In the main conference room, Alan presented his findings to a packed audience. The room fell silent as he played an audio conversion of the signal, a haunting, rhythmic sequence that sent chills down everyone's spine. The signal originates from the direction of HD 219134, a star system 21 light-years away, Alan explained, pointing to a star chart. "Based on the signal strength and consistency, we believe it's being sent by a technologically advanced civilization." General Frank Wilson, a stern-faced man with close-cropped gray hair, spoke up from the back of the room. "Are we certain this isn't some kind of natural phenomenon, or perhaps a hoax?" "We've ruled out all known natural causes," Alan replied, "and the signal has been verified by 3 independent observatories." "This is real, General." "What does it say?" asked a woman in a crisp business suit. Alan recognized her as Cynthia Park, recently appointed by the United Nations to handle potential first contact scenarios. "That's where Dr. Martinez comes in," Alan said, gesturing to Olivia. Olivia stood and walked to the front of the room. Her specialty was xenolinguistics, the theoretical study of alien languages. Until today, her field had been mostly theoretical. "The signal contains mathematical sequences that establish a communication baseline," she explained. "It's essentially teaching us how to understand their language. We're in the early stages, but we've identified what appears to be a greeting and a request for response." "So they want to talk," Cynthia said. "What do we say back?" General Wilson frowned. "Who authorized a response? We need to consider the security implications before broadcasting our location to an unknown species." "With all due respect, General," Alan said, "they already know we're here. This signal was aimed directly at Earth." The room erupted into heated debate. Some argued for immediate friendly contact, others for caution, and a few for complete radio silence. As the argument intensified, Alan noticed Olivia quietly working on her tablet. "I think I've found something else in the signal," she said, but her voice was lost in the noise. Alan walked over to her. "What is it?" She showed him her screen. "There's a secondary pattern embedded within the main signal. I think it might be some kind of warning." The Interstellar Communication Coalition was formed 3 days later. Scientists, diplomats, and military advisors from 17 countries worked around the clock to decode the alien message and craft a response. They set up headquarters in the GSRI facility, which was now surrounded by a small city of temporary buildings and security checkpoints. Alan and Olivia led the scientific team. Their workdays stretched to 18 hours as they made steady progress in deciphering the alien language. What they discovered was both fascinating and alarming. The aliens called themselves the Volari, Olivia reported during a briefing 1 month after first detection. They have a complex social structure and appear to value order above all else. Have they told us why they're contacting us? Cynthia asked. Olivia and Alan exchanged a look. Yes, Alan said slowly. And that's where things get concerning. They detected our Pioneer interstellar probe. Last year, humanity had launched its first true interstellar spacecraft, a small probe heading toward Alpha Centauri. It was a moment of pride for Earth, evidence that humans were taking their first real steps to the stars. The Volari message is very clear, Olivia continued. They are claiming ownership of the Alpha Centauri system, along with numerous other star systems, in our galactic neighborhood. They view our probe as unauthorized entry into their territory. General Wilson leaned forward. Are they threatening us? Not exactly, Alan replied. But they've included what we interpret as a firm request. Cease expansion, or face consequences. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the implications. We need to respond, Cynthia said finally. We need to explain that we had no knowledge of their territorial claims. I've prepared a draft message, Olivia said. It explains our peaceful intentions and our desire to establish diplomatic relations. General Wilson shook his head. While you scientists craft your nice letters, I'll be advising the President to accelerate our defense programs. If these aliens can detect a tiny probe 4 light-years away, they can certainly reach Earth if they want to. Ramping up military preparation could be seen as aggressive, Alan protested. And doing nothing could be seen as weak, Wilson countered. I'd rather be prepared for the worst than hope for the best. 3 months after first contact, humanity sent its response to the Volari. The message expressed peaceful intentions, acknowledged the probe's entry into what the Volari considered their territory, and invited further communication. The wait for a reply was tense. Global markets fluctuated wildly. Religious groups offered varying interpretations of what alien contact meant for their faiths, and military forces worldwide were placed on high alert. Alan spent most nights on the roof of the facility, staring up at the stars. Olivia often joined him, bringing coffee and theories about the Volari civilization. Do you think they'll understand? She asked one night. That we meant no harm? I hope so, Alan replied. But there's so much we don't know about how they think, how they perceive actions. Their answer came sooner than expected. 6 months. After Earth's reply, orbital monitoring stations detected an object entering the solar system at incredible speed. It slowed as it approached Neptune, then came to a complete stop near Jupiter's orbit. It was a ship, sleek, silver, and unlike anything humans had built. Telescopes captured images of its strange flowing design that seemed to bend light around its hull. The Volari had arrived in person. Earth's government scrambled to prepare for physical first contact. The United Nations Security Council met in emergency session. Military assets were deployed to protect key installations. And in New Mexico, Alan and Olivia worked frantically to establish a direct communication protocol with the alien vessel. When the Volari ship transmitted its first message directly to Earth, all doubts about their intentions vanished. The message was simple and clear. Your expansion stops now. One more move beyond your current boundaries ends all. We arrive to ensure compliance. Humanity's first step into the interstellar community had led not to friendship, but to a confrontation with powers beyond their understanding. 6 months had passed since the Volari ship arrived at the edge of the solar system. Earth's governments had worked together in an unusual show of unity to establish proper communication channels with the aliens. Now the time had come for face-to-face meeting. Captain Denise Russell stood at attention as the strange craft landed on the specially built platform. The diplomatic nexus, as they called it, had been constructed in just 4 months on neutral ground outside Geneva. Its gleaming white buildings and advanced security systems represented the best Earth could offer for this historic meeting. Stay sharp, Denise whispered to Lieutenant Greg Simmons, her second in command. "We don't know what to expect." Greg nodded, his hand resting near his sidearm. "The men are in position. If anything goes wrong, we're ready." Denise hoped it wouldn't come to that. Her team of 30 elite soldiers had been chosen from military forces around the world. Their job was to protect the human diplomats, not start an interplanetary war. The door of the alien craft slid open silently. A tall figure stepped out, ducking slightly to clear the doorway. The assembled humans gasped. The Volari ambassador stood nearly 8 feet tall. Its skin had a metallic sheen that shifted colors as it moved, like oil on water. The face was almost human-like, with 2 large purple eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. It wore a simple robe that flowed around its body like liquid. "Ambassador Zalthus," announced Cynthia Park, stepping forward with a practiced smile. "On behalf of Earth, welcome." The Volari touched its chest with long 6-fingered hands. When it spoke, the voice was deep and melodic, translated through devices developed by Dr. Martinez. "I bring greetings from the Volari Dominion. We are pleased you have prepared suitable accommodations for these discussions." Denise watched carefully as the diplomatic team led Zalthus into the main building. Something about the alien made her skin crawl. Maybe it was the way it moved, too smooth, too confident. Or maybe it was the smile that never quite reached those purple eyes. "They've set up bases on Neptune's moons," Greg reported 2 weeks later. He showed Denise the satellite images on his tablet. "Our long-range scans picked up energy signatures consistent with their technology." Denise frowned. "Why weren't we informed?" "The agreement was full transparency during negotiations." "Seems the Volari have a different definition of transparency," Greg replied. "Intelligence thinks they've been there for months, maybe even before they made official contact." This confirmed Denise's suspicions. While the politicians talked about peace and cooperation, she had noticed small inconsistencies in the Volari's behavior. They always seemed to know more about Earth than they admitted. "Keep this between us for now," Denise decided. "I want more information before we take this to Administrator Park." In the main conference room of the Nexus, Dr. Hayes and Dr. Martinez sat across from Ambassador Zalthus. The room was designed to put humans and Volari on equal footing. Neutral colors, adjustable seating for the much taller aliens, and advanced translation systems built into the walls. "We appreciate your willingness to share information about your civilization," Alan said politely. "It helps us understand your perspective." Zalthus inclined his head. "The Volari Dominion spans 300 star systems. We have brought 17 different species into our coalition over the past 10,000 years." "Brought in?" Olivia asked. "Do you mean they joined willingly?" Something flickered across Zalthus's face. "The alien equivalent of amusement, perhaps. Willingness is relative, Dr. Martinez. Some recognized the benefits of our leadership immediately. Others required convincing." Alan and Olivia exchanged glances. The implication was clear. "And what about Earth?" Alan asked. "Are we being offered membership in this coalition?" "In time, perhaps," Zalthus replied. "First, there are conditions that must be met. Your species is very young, very impulsive. You reached beyond your boundaries without understanding the established order." The ambassador touched a device on his wrist. A 3-dimensional map of the solar system appeared floating above the table. "Your current territory," Zalthus continued, indicating the inner planets from Mercury to Mars. "This is what you may keep for now." "Keep?" Olivia repeated, her voice rising slightly. "Earth doesn't recognize the Volari Dominion's authority to restrict our movement in our own solar system." Zalthus's skin shifted to a darker blue. "Then perhaps Earth does not fully understand its position." The map expanded to show hundreds of star systems. Tiny lights indicated what must be Volari ships or stations. "The Dominion's reach is vast. Your world is small. We do not wish to harm humans, but we cannot allow uncontrolled expansion. The terms are simple. Recall all exploration beyond Mars, dismantle your interstellar program, and accept Volari oversight of your technological development." Alan leaned forward. "And if we refuse?" Then you will join the list of species who required convincing, Zaltis said. I hope for your sake that won't be necessary. After the meeting, Alan and Olivia hurried to Cynthia Park's office. The administrator listened to their report with a grave expression. We've been reviewing all communications from the Volari, Olivia explained. There are inconsistencies, patterns that don't match. What kind of inconsistencies? Cynthia asked. Alan spread out several pages of notes. Their technology is incredibly advanced, yet they seem overly concerned about our primitive interstellar probe. And they've made repeated references to energy signatures that don't match anything we're aware of producing. There's something they're not telling us, Olivia added. Something they fear or want from Earth specifically. Cynthia sighed heavily. What you're saying may be true, but right now, we need to maintain diplomatic channels. The United Nations Security Council is divided on how to respond to their demands. We can't just give in, Alan protested. And we can't risk provoking them either, Cynthia countered. Until we know more about their capabilities, we need to proceed carefully. I'm ordering you both to keep these concerns confidential for now. Ipo. Beneath the Atacama Desert in Chile, Professor Peter Williams worked in a secret facility that officially didn't exist. The room around him was filled with equipment salvaged from a small Volari scout ship that had crashed 2 months ago. Few people knew about the crash. Governments had agreed to keep it quiet to avoid complicating the negotiations. Peter had been studying the propulsion system day and night. As Earth's leading quantum physicist, he understood things that others missed. And what he was discovering both amazed and frightened him. I think I've found something, he told his assistant Sharon Johnson, a brilliant engineer who had helped build Earth's first interstellar probe. She looked up from her workstation. The power source? Better, Peter replied with excitement. Their entire propulsion system relies on a quantum field manipulation that's incredibly efficient, but has a fundamental weakness. He pointed to a component that looked like a twisted piece of metal with glowing blue lines running through it. This regulator prevents feedback loops in their system. Without it, the energy would build up and eventually overload the entire drive. Sharon's eyes widened as she understood the implications. You're saying we could disable their ships? Peter nodded slowly. Theoretically, yes. If we could generate the right kind of quantum pulse at the correct frequency, we could trigger a cascade. Failure in their systems. That could be a powerful bargaining chip, Sharon said quietly. Or a last resort, Peter replied. Let's hope the diplomats succeed so we never need to use this. Captain Russell walked the perimeter of the Nexus, checking security positions, as she did every evening. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the compound. In the distance, the Volari ship gleamed in the fading light. Her radio crackled. Captain, this is Watchtower, you need to see this. She made her way to the observation post where a soldier handed her a pair of binoculars. Through them, she could see the Volari ship. A panel had opened on its side and a small drone was emerging. That's the third one tonight, the soldier told her. They're flying search patterns over military installations across Europe. Denise lowered the binoculars, her suspicions confirmed. While Earth's leaders debated whether to accept the aliens' terms, the Volari were already mapping their targets. Document everything, she ordered, and get me a secure line to General Wilson. He needs to know the Volari aren't just here to talk. As night fell over Geneva, the delicate balance of diplomacy tilted further toward conflict. Earth's governments remained, divided on whether to submit or resist, unaware that time was running out for either option. 1 year had passed since the Volari delivered their ultimatum. To the outside world, Earth had surrendered. The interstellar program was officially shut down. The advanced research facilities were dismantled, and Volari advisors now monitored all major technological centers around the globe. Dr. Alan Hayes walked through the halls of what was once the Global Space Research Initiative, now renamed the Earth Volari Cooperation Center. 2 Volari guards stood at each intersection, their metallic skin shifting colors in the artificial light. Alan nodded politely to them as he passed. They didn't respond. Dr. Hayes, called a familiar voice. Ambassador Zalthus approached with his floating stride that never quite touched the ground. "Your report on lunar mining operations was most thorough." "Thank you, Ambassador," Alan replied with a practiced smile. "We want to ensure all activities meet Dominion standards." Zalthus studied him with those unnervingly purple eyes. "Indeed. The Volari appreciate your cooperation." After a year of working closely with the aliens, Alan had learned to detect the subtle shifts in their speech patterns. The pause before cooperation suggested suspicion. "If there's anything else you need, please let me know," Alan said, maintaining his friendly tone. "There is one matter," Zalthus said. "Our sensors detected unusual energy readings from the former Chilean observatory last night. Do you have any insight into this?" Alan kept his expression neutral despite the alarm bells ringing in his head. "I'm not involved with the Chilean facility, but I'd be happy to inquire about it." "That won't be necessary," Zalthus replied. "We have already dispatched investigators. Good day, Dr. Hayes." As the ambassador glided away, Alan fought the urge to run. Instead, he calmly walked to his office, closed the door, and activated the signal jammer hidden in his desk lamp, a device that looked like a normal part of the lamp but created a bubble where conversations couldn't be monitored. He pulled out his phone and sent a single text. "Weather forecast shows storms coming from the south." It was a warning code. The Volari were onto them. Deep beneath the Atacama Desert, Professor Peter Williams cursed as alarms blared throughout the secret facility codenamed Prometheus Vault. "They've detected us," he told Sharon Johnson, who was already shutting down equipment and activating the facility's camouflage systems. "How much time do we have?" she asked, her fingers flying across multiple keyboards. "Not enough," Peter replied grimly. "But enough to move the prototype. Get it ready for transport while I wipe the systems." The Prometheus Vault had been operating in secret for 11 months. While Earth pretended to comply with Volari demands, a global resistance movement had been forming underground, literally, in many cases. The facility housed humanity's best hope, the quantum disruption device codenamed Checkmate. Sharon opened a heavily shielded case and carefully placed the device inside. It looked deceptively simple, a metallic sphere about the size of a baseball with glowing blue lines crisscrossing its surface. Those lines pulsed with energy, matching the pattern they had discovered in the crashed Volari ship. "It's not ready for full deployment," Sharon warned. "The tests last night showed it can disable their technology, but the range is limited." "Limited range is better than nothing," Peter said as he finished erasing the facility's databases. "The extraction team should be here in 5 minutes. We need to be topside by then." As if on cue, the secure elevator doors opened, but instead of the expected extraction team, Captain Denise Russell stepped out alone, her uniform torn and bloodied. "We've been compromised," she said without preamble. "The Volari hit our Rocky Mountain base an hour ago. They're moving against all suspected resistance locations." "Where's the rest of your team?" Sharon asked. Denise's expression hardened. "They didn't make it. I barely got out with this." She held up a small data drive. "Intelligence from our Nere. Contact. It changes everything." In a secure location beneath the Alps, Dr. Olivia Martinez met with her most unusual research partner, a being not from Earth or from the Volari Dominion. The Nere looked almost like a tall human with blue-tinted skin and large, expressive eyes. This particular individual called itself Tellen and claimed to be part of a resistance movement fighting against Volari rule. "Your message seemed urgent," Olivia said, sitting across from the alien. "Because it is," Tellen replied in a musical accent. "The Volari have begun their final preparations. They are not merely monitoring Earth, they are mapping it for conquest." "We suspected as much," Olivia admitted. "But why? They already have us contained. Our interstellar program is shut down." Tellen's large eyes blinked slowly. "The Volari lied to you about many things. Their dominion is not as vast or unified as they claim. They face rebellions on a dozen worlds. Their resources are stretched thin. Then why focus on Earth? We're no threat to them." "Because of what you almost discovered," Tellen explained. "Your quantum research was approaching a breakthrough that would have given humans the ability to bypass Volari control of local space. They detected the energy signatures of your early experiments and moved quickly to stop you. Olivia leaned forward. So this was never about our probe entering their territory. It was about preventing us from developing technology that could threaten them. Exactly. And they will not be satisfied with merely watching you now. The Volari commander, Draknur, believes humans are too dangerous to be left with any autonomy. He plans to reduce Earth to a mining colony within the next lunar cycle. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. We need to warn the Resistance leadership immediately. Dr. Catherine Hayes, a neurobiologist and Alan's wife, worked in a mobile laboratory hidden aboard a converted oil tanker in the Indian Ocean. For months she had been studying Volari biological samples collected covertly from various sites. The comm unit on her desk beeped. Alan's face appeared on the screen, the encrypted connection distorting his features slightly. Catherine, they're moving ahead of schedule. The Prometheus vault has been compromised. She glanced at the brain scans displayed on her monitor. I've made a discovery about their neural structure. The Volari have enhanced sensory capabilities, but they also have a unique vulnerability. Their neural pathways are directly linked to their technology through a form of organic quantum entanglement. Alan's eyes widened. You mean they're connected to their ships, their weapons? More than connected, Catherine explained. It's a symbiotic relationship. This explains why they can operate their technology so efficiently. But it also means that the checkmate device might affect them too, not just their machines, Alan finished. Have you told Williams? Not yet. I only confirmed it this morning. Alan looked grim. It may be too late. The Volari are moving against resistance bases worldwide. I think they're preparing for their final strike. Captain Russell, Professor War, Williams and Sharon Johnson emerged from a hidden tunnel into the cool night air of the Chilean desert. Above them, stars filled the sky. Stars that humans might never reach if they failed. The extraction point is 3 kilometers east, Denise said, checking her tactical display. We have 20 minutes before the Volari search patterns reach this area. They moved quickly across the desert terrain, the case containing the checkmate, prototype secured to Sharon's back. Peter struggled to keep up, his years in a laboratory not preparing him for cross-country hiking. What's on that data drive that's so important? He asked Denise between breaths. The Neri provided the locations of all Volari bases in our solar system, she replied, including their command ship, which has been hiding on the far side of the moon. The command ship? Sharon said. If we could deploy checkmate there, it could disable their entire fleet. Peter finished. But we'd need a way to get there. Denise smiled grimly. That's where the second part of the plan comes in. The Resistance in the Himalayas captured a Volari shuttle 3 months ago. They've been studying it, learning how to fly it. Before Peter could respond, a bright light illuminated the desert ahead of them. A Volari ship descended from the night sky, its searchlights scanning the ground. Take cover, Denise hissed, pulling them behind a large rock formation. The ship hovered less than 100 meters away, its engines humming with that distinctive Volari tone. After what seemed like an eternity, it moved on, continuing its search pattern, away from them. That was too close, Sharon whispered. They're hunting us, Denise said. We need to. Her words were cut off by a massive explosion that lit up the horizon to the north. The ground shook beneath them as a fireball rose into the night sky. That's the Prometheus vault, Peter said in horror. They found it. And they're making sure nothing survives, Denise added grimly. This isn't containment anymore. It's war. As they watched, more explosions bloomed across the landscape. The Volari had begun their attack, and Earth's hidden resistance was their first target. The 3 humans shared a look of determination. In Sharon's backpack, the checkmate device pulsed with blue energy, Earth's final move in a game they hadn't known they were playing until it was almost too late. The sky over New York burned red as Volari ships rained destruction from above. Similar scenes played out in cities worldwide. London, Tokyo, Beijing, Moscow, all faced orbital bombardment as Earth's military forces launched everything they had against the alien fleet. It wasn't enough. Conventional weapons barely scratched the Volari ships, Even nuclear missiles were neutralized mid-flight by some kind of energy field that surrounded the alien vessels. In the remains of the Geneva diplomatic nexus, bodies lay scattered among the rubble. Administrator Cynthia Park had been among the first casualties. The Volari had struck without warning, targeting world leaders and command centers in a coordinated first strike. Beneath the churning waves of the Pacific Ocean, the submarine USS Defiance maintained radio silence. The vessel had been converted into a mobile command center for what remained of Earth's resistance. Inside its cramped control room, Dr. Alan Hayes and Dr. Olivia Martinez coordinated with surviving resistance cells around the world. "We've lost contact with the Moscow bunker," reported a communications officer, her face pale with exhaustion. "That's the third command post in the last hour." Alan studied the global map displayed on the main screen. Red dots showed confirmed Volari attacks covering most major cities and military installations. They're being methodical, working their way down a target list. "The question is why," Olivia said. "If they wanted to destroy us completely, they could have done it with one massive strike. Instead, they're taking their time." Their discussion was interrupted by the arrival of a priority transmission. The screen flickered, showing the face of Tellan, their Neri ally. "We have critical information," the alien said without preamble. "The Volari command ship has entered Earth orbit. It carries what my people call a suppression field generator. Once activated, it will disable all electronic technology on your planet's surface." "How long do we have?" Alan asked. "The ship will reach its final position in 48 of your hours. Then the field will deploy and your resistance will end." After the transmission ended, Olivia turned to Alan. "We need to get word to Captain Russell's team. If they can deliver the checkmate device to that command ship." "It's our only chance," Alan agreed, "but they'll need to know exactly where to strike." In a hidden hangar beneath the Himalayan mountains, Captain Denise Russell inspected the stolen Volari shuttle. The sleek craft had been damaged during its capture, but resistance engineers had worked tirelessly to repair it. "Will it fly?" she asked the chief engineer. "It'll fly," he confirmed. "We've replaced the damaged components with parts salvaged from other Volari craft. The navigation system is still glitchy, but it should get you to the command ship." Denise nodded. "And the stealth modifications?" "We've adjusted the energy signature to match Volari patrol ships. Unless they scan you directly, you should be able to approach undetected." Professor Williams entered the hangar, carrying the checkmate device in its protective case. Beside him walked Sharon Johnson, who had volunteered to join the mission despite having no military training. "Is it ready?" Denise asked. Peter opened the case. The device inside had evolved from its earlier prototype. Now it was larger, about the size of a basketball, with intricate patterns of glowing blue energy flowing across its surface. "We've enhanced the range and power," he explained. "Once activated, it should create a quantum disruption field that will cascade through all connected Volari systems." "What about Dr. Hayes's warning?" Denise asked. "About the neural connection between the Volari and their technology." Peter and Sharon exchanged uncomfortable glances. "We've tried to modify the wavelength to target only their technology," Sharon said. "But we can't be certain. There's a real possibility that this device could harm or even kill any Volari connected to the affected systems." Denise considered this information silently. The fate of humanity might depend on using a weapon that could cause suffering to the Volari. It wasn't a decision she took lightly. "We'll proceed as planned," she finally said. "But we'll look for opportunities to minimize casualties. This is about survival, not revenge." A communications officer rushed into the hangar. "Captain, we've received coordinates from the USS Defiance. They've located the Volari command ship and identified a potential entry point." Denise gathered her small team. "We leave in 30 minutes. This may be humanity's last mission. Let's make it count." Catherine Hayes worked frantically in her floating laboratory. The oil tanker that had been her cover was now at the bottom of the ocean, sunk by Volari patrols. She and a few colleagues had escaped in a research submarine that now hid among coral reefs. Her latest neural scans of Volari tissue revealed something unexpected, something that could change everything. "The connection goes both ways," she murmured to herself as she studied the results. Their ships don't just respond to them, they feed information directly back into the Volari nervous system. She needed to warn Alan. If the checkmate device was deployed at full power, it could cause catastrophic neural damage to every Volari connected to their network. It would be tantamount to genocide. Catherine activated the secure communication system, hoping it was still operational. "This is Dr. Catherine Hayes. I need to speak with the USS Defiance immediately. Priority Alpha." The stolen Volari shuttle slipped through space, approaching the massive command ship that loomed above Earth. From this distance, the planet looked peaceful, a blue marble suspended in the blackness of space. But Russell knew that appearance was deceptive. Below those clouds, millions were fighting and dying. Approaching target, Lieutenant Greg Simmons reported from the pilot's seat. He had insisted on coming along, despite the near-suicide nature of the mission. Their outer defense grid is active, but we're still registering as friendly. "Take us in closer," Denise ordered. "Look for that access port the Narray told us about." The shuttle glided along the hull of the enormous Volari vessel. It was unlike any ship humans had built, organic-looking with sections that seemed to pulse and shift like a living thing. "There," Sharon pointed to a smaller opening on the underside of the ship. "That matches the description." Greg guided the shuttle toward the opening. "No challenges yet. I think they're buying our disguise." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the shuttle. Red lights flashed on the control panel. "They're scanning us," Greg reported. "They know we're not Volari." Defense turrets on the command ship swiveled toward them, charging with deadly energy. "Evasive maneuvers," Denise shouted. Greg yanked the controls, sending the shuttle into a wild spin. Energy beams lanced past them, missing by meters. He was a skilled pilot, but they couldn't evade forever in the confined space near the command ship. "We need to get inside now or we're finished," Denise said. Greg nodded grimly. "Hang on to something." He pushed the engines to maximum power and aimed directly for the access port. The shuttle shot forward, taking hits from the defense turrets. Sparks flew from damaged systems as they crashed through the opening and skidded along a docking bay inside the Volari ship. The shuttle came to a stop, smoking and ruined, but having served its purpose. They were inside. Denise checked her team. Sharon was nursing a cut on her forehead but otherwise unharmed. Peter clutched the checkmate device, which thankfully remained intact. "Greg?" "Greg?" Denise called, turning to the pilot's seat. "Lieutenant." Simmons sat motionless, impaled by a piece of metal that had broken loose during their crash landing. His eyes stared sightlessly ahead. "He got us here," Sharon said quietly, closing his eyes with gentle fingers. Denise allowed herself a moment of grief for her friend, then focused on the mission. "We need to move. They'll send security teams any minute." They gathered their equipment and exited the shuttle. The interior of the Volari ship was vast and strangely beautiful, with corridors that seemed to be made of flowing metal. "The central core should be this way," Peter said, consulting a small device that detected energy signatures. "That's where we need to place checkmate for maximum effect." As they moved through the ship, Denise's communication unit suddenly activated. "Captain Russell, this is the USS Defiance. We have an urgent message from Dr. Catherine Hayes." "Go ahead," Denise replied, keeping her voice low. "She says the checkmate device needs to be modified before deployment. At current settings, it will cause lethal neural damage to all connected Volari. She's sending the adjustment parameters now." Peter received the data on his tablet. "She's right," he said after studying the information. "With these modifications, we can disable their technology without harming them directly." "Can you make the changes?" Denise asked. "Yes, but it will take a few minutes." "Do it," she decided. "We didn't come here to commit genocide." They found an alcove where Peter could work on the device while Denise and Sharon kept watch. In the distance, they could hear the sound of Volari security teams searching for them. "Why are you doing this?" a voice asked from behind them. They spun around to see Ambassador Zalthus standing there, his purple eyes regarding them with curiosity rather than anger. Denise raised her weapon, but the ambassador made no threatening moves. Your people attacked us, she said. You gave us no choice. Not my choice, Zalthus replied. Commander Draknur ordered the attack against my advice. There was another way, but fear and pride wouldn't allow it.